Tonight, the Spencer Gulf ferry service suspended due to dangerous conditions at one of the ports. And police looking into a bizarre Broken Hill car crash that left a man in hospital.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening, but first tonight the Premier has announced a 150 megawatt solar thermal power plant will be built in Port Augusta. Work on the $650 million plant set to begin as early as next year, with plans for it to be online by 2020, supplying 100% of the state's energy needs. The government selected operator Solar Reserve as the preferred bidder after opening a tender process last year. The contract, which will last 20 years, was the lowest cost option of the shortlisted bids, according to the government. The Premier is saying today the plan will provide more than enough power for the state. We'll have more on the details and the local reaction in tomorrow's local news. Tourists won't be able to travel across the Spencer Gulf on the Wallaroo to Lucky Bay Ferry for another 12 months. The ferry, which used to operate between the towns, has been suspended again following public safety concerns on Lucky Bay's foreshore.
The ferry has been suspended since the beginning of June this year and won't reopen until the grain import and export phase of construction on the Lucky Bay foreshore is complete, which won't be for another 12 months.
Extensions to the port facility there in terms of creating a larger basin.
And it's not the first time the ferry has been suspended.
Since its inception to now, if we work it out, will have been in recess longer period of time than actual operation.
The ferry is a link between the two peninsulas, and with its temporary closure, farming businesses in Kadina who sell to the Eyre Peninsula will lose money, instead using road trains to transport their machinery.
Take it up and around by road, where that's a couple of days to do that with a number of people involved because they need escort vehicles.
With the ferry not up and running for another year, the region will see less visitors on Yorke Peninsula field days and across the peak summer period. Mayor Thomas disappointed with the 2 weeks' notice of suspension.
An alternative to how to work around the construction that was happening at Lucky Bay and still keep the ferry operating.
The ferry should be fully operational in September 2018. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
A man had to be taken to hospital with serious injuries following a crash in Broken Hill on Friday night. Witnesses say they saw the man on the bonnet of his girlfriend's car as she was leaving around 7 o'clock. The couple had reportedly gotten into an argument at a house on Hill Street when the woman left. The man reportedly held on to the front of the Ford Falcon for over a kilometre before the woman lost control and crashed it into a shed on a Chloride Street residence. The man suffered a broken pelvis and rib and a suspected punctured lung. Emergency services helped in the clean-up, which included rescuing 2 dogs trapped in the shed. Police investigations are continuing. A man sustained life-threatening injuries after he was assaulted at a licensed premises in Moonta on Friday night. The victim was airlifted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, where he remains in a serious condition. Police allege that at 9 o'clock on Friday night, a 30-year-old man, also from Moonta, assaulted the victim in what's believed to be a premeditated attack. Yesterday, the second man was arrested and charged with assault. He was refused bail and appeared in the Kadina Magistrates Court today. Industrial hemp could soon be growing on the Eyre Peninsula, creating much-needed jobs for farmers in the region. Legislation passed this year will allow hemp to soon be produced, with information sessions to be held in Port Lincoln this week.
Industrial hemp, commonly used in health foods, cosmetics and clothing, will soon be produced in South Australia. New legislation passed by the state government means industrial hemp will likely be grown on farms such as the Eyre Peninsula. The member for Flinders, Peter Trelaw, who's also a grain grower, is fully supportive of the move.
Lots of applications that can go into plastics, recyclables, all those sorts of things, so the opportunity is endless, and I think it's worth considering. Industrial hemp could mean big dollars for farmers looking to diversify their crops from cereal and other wheat. However, irrigation requirements might be a factor for the EP. Essentially, it's a spring sown and summer growing crop, so it's really quite specific in its agronomic requirements. Specialised industrial hemp contains little of the psychoactive drug THC, making the plant worthless for those trying to use it for illegal purposes. However, cultivation of the plant will still be closely monitored. There'll be a vetting process. Police clearances are required just because of the nature of the crop. and those who are interested will have to be registered and approved.
The state government has organised information sessions as part of a public consultation, Mr Chalor urging farmers to attend.
There are workshops being held right around the state, and there's one here in Port Lincoln later this week, so interested growers can come along, and I encourage them to do that.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Police are confident they will catch a man who kicked a taxi driver in the head outside a Broken Hill pub over the weekend. The cabbie was attacked out the front of the Palace Hotel on Saturday night after a man had previously attempted to open his locked taxi. The man fled in another taxi and police are continuing inquiries with the company. The driver was not seriously injured. Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, a maths boost helping regional schoolgirls get their heads around numbers. The details ahead. Welcome back. A Whyalla teenager has lost his licence after being caught doing twice the speed limit in Whyalla Playford over the weekend. Just after 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, police clocked a car doing 114 in a 50 zone on Elliott Street. Police eventually located the car and spoke to the 17-year-old driver. As well as losing his licence, he was reported for excessive speed and dangerous driving. He's had his car impounded for 28 days. He'll face court at a later date. 3 projects in Broken Hill could soon get a shot in the arm, with the council looking to secure funding for upgrades. Council has requested over $800,000 to help get the projects off the ground and get them built.
A major park upgrade, the resurfacing of tennis courts and new toilet facilities for the local pony club.
We've just completed a community engagement project where we had 7 or 8 different projects from community that would like to have received some funding. Council says the projects had to be shovel ready, meaning if the funding is received, work can begin on the projects immediately. The major application is the funding for the development of Patton Park in the city's south, a project that had recently been knocked back for funding just last month. The projects specifically that we've asked for funding for include new amenities, barbecues, new playground equipment and footpaths. The O'Neill Sporting Complex could also see a big improvement if the $150,000 for tennis court resurfacing is secured. If the application is successful, the funding would see 6 courts resurfaced with new supergrass and provide a great chance for more events and functions to be held at the complex. And that's a really interesting project because by investing in the infrastructure, that's going to help them really get involved in a strategic plan that they've developed around engaging youth and engaging community in night activity. A report on the funding applications will be delivered at this month's council meeting. Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hills Robinson College will celebrate a very special birthday tomorrow. The college will mark its 50th anniversary with fun, food and even an auction at its Wentworth Road campus. Festivities start at 11:30 and will run until the mid-afternoon. Locals are invited down to celebrate with staff and students. Students from 3 different high schools joined a program to encourage more girls to stick with maths in Port Augusta on Friday. It was the first time the event's been held in regional South Australia, with students from other cities travelling up as well.
Making maths interesting and hearing from those in real jobs. With statistics showing too few girls taking maths in high school and uni, the GEM program, or Girls Enjoying Maths, paid a visit to Caritas College today, inspiring more girls to get a grip on numbers.
Our overarching brief is about increasing participation, engagement and completion of maths for girls.
Students from Whyalla and Port Pirie joining to hear from experts working in trades, management and mining, sharing their experience with the subject.
The role models this morning had a huge impact, I think, on the girls and seeing them from different industry as well.
And it's got a lot of students calculating the benefits.
A lot of new ideas when you see that it's really important in nearly every single pathway that you can take, whether it's a trade or something to do with science like medicine.
I think it's very interesting because it's something we don't do usually at school. Yeah, it's a bit different to the normal lessons.
So we want to show girls what the possibilities are if you stick with maths all the way through to Year 12 and out into real life.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
A pop-up art gallery has opened in Port Pirie as part of the South Australian Living Artists Festival. Local artists showed off their paintings at the grand opening last week, and council is hoping to run workshops at the gallery as well.
Empty shop fronts on Port Pirie's main road have been transformed into a pop-up art gallery, showcasing the work of 5 local artists with more masterpieces on the way. Featuring Aboriginal paintings to Russian felt work, the gallery brings pieces of the world to Port Pirie.
I think this is very interesting, have a look at Russian culture through the eyes of art. That's what coming from the soul, something what you're given away and what visible. I think this is beautiful.
And with the success of the pop-up art gallery, council is hoping to run painting workshops for the young and old in the gallery.
Where they can come and paint work, they can come and do work in that kitchen in there, and they can meet and join together, sit around, do work in here as well.
The gallery is open from Thursday to Saturday and visitors are able to purchase the artwork on display.
I think this is the best thing that's ever happened to Port Pirie for artists.
It's something what really not every day you will be able to see.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, locals soak up some fun in the sun at the Port Lincoln Show. We'll head along next. Welcome back. Thousands of locals flooded the Port Lincoln racetrack to soak up the atmosphere for the annual Port Lincoln Show over the weekend. Parents enjoyed the day out while kids made the most of the show bags, the rides and the entertainment.
The sun was shining, the rides were buzzing, and the kids were enjoying their first Port Lincoln show. The unseasonably warm conditions attracted a strong crowd, families soaking up the day, children eager to have their faces painted, Sideshow Alley proving a favourite, while others put their driving skills to the test. The horses took the show in stride, riders jumping to fine-tune routines before competing in the year's big competition.
The show horses are there looking pretty and proper, and it's a good practice run for the Royal Adelaide, which is in a couple of weeks.
Many old favourites remained, like cake making and flower arranging, but new features continue to push the show past traditional staples.
It's been going on for 100 odd years, so we'd like to keep the tradition going, keep some of the traditional events happening, but then times change and you've got to change around and try something new.
But for the most part, the day centred on the kids, the animal zoo providing some hands-on fun, while the show bags were snapped up by the handful.
Kids always remember, the older you get, you always remember a day at the show.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, the countdown is on for this year's Broken Hill Festival, an annual event celebrating Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, in Broken Hill, of course. And organisers are excited for what this year holds and are encouraging locals to buy their tickets and get in on the glamour.
Over the past 2 years, the Broken Hill Festival has rapidly evolved into a major drawcard for the Silver City. And as we drag on into 2017, it's only going to get bigger and better.
Ticket sales are still ticking along nicely. We've got sold about 500 so far, probably about 90% of those from people outside of town.
The Palace Hotel is already booked out for the 3-day event, which is full of glitz, glamour and glitter. It gets underway on the Friday night and leads into a chock-a-block Saturday, including the fabulous street parade, community markets and all of the performances on Saturday night. A Sunday recovery session will be held at the Silverton Hotel with free bus services from Broken Hill, before a very special screening of the iconic film later that night at the Silver City Cinema.
For those people who really want to go see it on, up on the big screen with big sound, and I think it's one of the first times they've rescreened that since the release, sort of 23 years ago. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun down there at the cinema.
The festival will feature performances from renowned drag artist Trevor Ashley and an ABBA cover band, to name a couple. And the event has received more publicity on the coast with the recent announcement of the Silver City Stiletto train service, which will pick up festival goers from Sydney and along the way.
What we have always been aiming to do, which is to grow the event, into something that's really marked on the national event or festival calendar for Australia. And I think certainly as it continues, we'll see these people sort of flocking in from around the nation and really hoping to grow the program.
Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
To the weekend's footy now, North Whyalla have overcome a spirited Centrals to secure the double chance for this year's finals. North, however, survived a major scare with Centrals wasting numerous opportunities in the second half. John Hunt joins us now from Whyalla. John, this was a missed chance for the Roosters.
Yeah, it was, Tim. On form, these two are likely to meet in the preliminary final, so a win for either side would strike a huge psychological blow. Centrals were in the game all day, but inaccurate kicking cost them a vital win. North started well and led at quarter time, before Centrals fought back with a 3-0-0 second term. The Magpies hit back in the third, kicking 2-0, and led by 2 points at the final change. In a seesawing final term, Centrals had plenty of chances but couldn't overcome North, who held on for a vital 7-point win. A 4-3-1-7 second half was the difference, with Centrals to rue their kicking in front of goal. In other matches, West Wyler are still unbeaten after a comprehensive win over Aruna Bay, and Rapina overcame a 10-point deficit at the final change to defeat South in a thriller and all but secure a final spot. It's another heartbreaking defeat for Southies, their fourth loss by under 5 points in 2017. Over in Spencer Golf footy, an inaccurate prop Brisbane edge Centrals. West Augusta made light work of Port, while in the top of the table clash, Solly sent a warning shot to second place South, scoring 22 goals to 6 after quarter time for a 77-point win. Down in Port Lincoln, Lincoln South smashed Boston. Mallee Park were too good for Marble Range, and Wayback cruised to a win over Tasman to consolidate second spot. Across the border in Broken Hill, 7 from Connor Walshbrook helped South to a huge win over West, while North held off a wasteful Central to win by 7 points. In Northern Areas footy, Broughton Mundura had a 102-60 win over Oruru. BMW were too good for Jamestown Peterborough, and Crystal Brook remained 3 games clear on top after a win over Southern Flinders. And on the York Peninsula, 6 from Alex East helped Kadina to a 16-point win. Munter defeated Central York. The Crows had a comfortable win over Baskerville, while a 9-5 second half guided Wallaroo to victory over Lowly Butte. So that's all the footy from the weekend. Next week is a final round in Wyler and the York Peninsula, ahead of their respective final series. Netball and soccer are also reaching their ending points, and I'll bring you those results tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, John. Can't believe we're talking finals already. Well, stay with us after the break and look at the local weather for the week ahead. Welcome back. A bit of a wet start to kick off the week with showers around today. Not too cool, however. 22 in Port Augusta and 21 for Whyalla and Port Perry. Port Lincoln today 19 the top with 24 in Broken Hill. On the national satellite image, heavy cloud is moving across the region towards the east, bringing with it plenty of showers. Out on the waters for tomorrow, the winds up around 20 knots and to the northwest, the seas to 1.5 metres and southerly. Sunrise right on 7 o'clock. So looking at some rain in 2 tomorrow, 23 for Port Augusta and 21 in Whyalla. Port Perry rain in 20. 19 for Port Lincoln. Broken Hill expecting a wet and windy day with 29 degrees. Then looking ahead, Wednesday showers and 17 for Port Lincoln and then 15 on Thursday. 17 then 14 for Cleve. Woodner also wet, 18 then 16. Whyalla fine and 20 for Wednesday, then showers and 18 for Thursday. The same for Port Augusta. Kadina showers and 17 and then a wet 15. In Port Perry, looking at 19 and fine, then showers and 16 degrees as the week rolls on. Clare wet all week, however, and still quite cool, 15 then just 12. Broken Hill fine and mild for most of the week, 20 degrees on Wednesday, but then some wind kicking up on Thursday. Well, some news to share with you briefly before we go tonight. Tomorrow night is going to be my final bulletin at Southern Cross. After 3.5 years in this chair, I've decided to hang up all the ties and head home for a new adventure. So I do hope you'll join me again for one last time tomorrow at 6:30. Until then, though, I'm Tim Hatfield from the Southern Cross News team. Have a good evening. Good night.